I am resurrection and I am life, says the Lord. Whoever has faith in me shall have life, even though he die. And everyone who has life and has committed himself to me in faith shall not die forever. For none of us has life in himself, and none of us becomes his own master when he dies. For if we have life, we are alive in the Lord, and if we die, we die in the Lord. So then, whether we live or die, we are the Lord's possession. I welcome you all to this gathering this afternoon as we remember Jonathan Keeney. We are here in this Episcopal church, and so I'll be using some of the language of the Christian tradition, and I hope that if that's not your language, that you will hear and translate that into whatever says grace and love and comfort in times of loss. In our Episcopal tradition, when we have notes in our Book of Common Prayer that guides all of our gathering and service, and in those notes we speak about when we gather for a burial or a funeral or memorial service. On the one hand, we say that that has everything to do with Easter, because we Christians claim this hope for eternal life through the resurrection of Christ. And yet we also make clear in those notes that grief is not wrong. It's not sinful or wrong or inappropriate to grieve. And so even though we call this a celebration of life and we want to celebrate Jonathan, I want to make sure we name that we are sad. We are sad for losing someone we've loved. And in that grief, I hope that we can claim that loving is worth it. So hear that today, that it's okay for you to be sad in this space and to celebrate and have some joy and laugh with all the language and the words and songs you will hear. So know that today you are welcome to grieve and to celebrate all at once as we remember Jonathan. So let us pray. Out of the depths we cry to you, merciful God, for our friend Jonathan. Meet our grief, our confusion with your peace, our anger and frustration with forgiveness, our own guilt with mercy, our sorrow with consolation. Help us acknowledge the mystery that our lives are hid with Christ in you, whose compassion is over all whom you have made. Amen.
Hey, everybody. Whew. Thanks for coming. For those who don't know me, I am Jonathan Kerr, and I had the great fortune of sharing the first 10 letters of my first and last name with Keeney for the last 35 years. In fact, it dawned on me recently that our shared names are probably why you know Keeney as Keeney and me as Kerr, or many of you do. Of course, when this is to Jonathan Buchanan, wherever he is, Johnny Bu. So many people over the last couple weeks have shared a lot of stories and memories of Keeney with me, and a lot about the impression that he made on them. So I'm going to try to stitch together some of those reflections and lore, because Keeney had lore, to paint a picture of who he was. So if you can imagine a 7-year-old with mystique, that was Keeney. He's a really cool kid, and he had this confidence and self-possession and intentionality that many of you know from the adult version, but he had that as far back as I can remember. He always had such a comfortable gravity to him. And over time, of course, Keeney built this reputation for being preternaturally gifted in just about every conceivable domain. Hockey, soccer, golf, tennis, football. He'd smoke you in video games. He was better than anyone I'd ever seen at driving a stick shift. He had world-class talent for making mischief. He's just really, really fun to be around. And then, of course, there's his music. So those abilities became the stuff of legend, and I know that I can speak for my South Knoxville community to say that we were always really proud to claim him. For him to be our emissary out into the broader world. But for all of his known gifts, perhaps his biggest was just the ability to connect with people and to leave an impression. Whether you had his company for a few minutes or a few months or just a wave or a hug from across the bar, people actually called these Keeney sightings. I would get texts from people I hadn't heard from in months saying they had a Keeney sighting. And that's because you never quite knew when or where he might turn up. But when he did, it was always a thrill, like he was some kind of rare bird. And that's because he really was magnetic, and he had the ability to maintain focus and be really present with you. He was a great listener, and interacting with him gave you the sense that maybe some of his magic might rub off on you. And the gift of his friendship was so valuable to so many people. And I think the attendance of this service is evidence of the incredible web of friendships he was able to weave across time and space. A great example of this skill of his in action was when he and I traveled to Thailand together in 2018, and that whole trip really crystallized the differences between us despite our shared origin story. While I spent the week waving off solicitations from street vendors trying to sell me stuff, Keeney spent the week being approached by tourists and locals asking him for directions. I mean, you all saw him. He could have been from Thailand. He could have been from anywhere. I don't know. But he could connect with people out in the world at a level just totally unimaginable to me. At one point, I wandered out of a shop to find Keeney sitting on a curb outside with this lovely Thai grandmother, speaking this universal language of hand gestures and laughter, and eating a bowl of her homemade soup, sharing literally the same spoon. And it was just clear in that moment that I was a tourist and Keeney was a traveler. I was an American, he was a citizen of the world. When COVID hit and his primary vocation of music was taken off the table for a bit, he came out to LA to stay with my wife Lauren and me. And that was kind of a renaissance of friendship for us. Those times just living together, being together, riding our bikes to the beach, taking surf lessons, which between he and I, one of us needed me. And him humoring me by joining me in my morning stretching routine. Those memories mark for me like the beginning of a new friendship, a new depth of friendship. And it was a phase where we were just more connected and more intimate and more aware of what was going on in each other's lives. And this was also at a time where a paradox in his life really started to reveal itself. He was worn down by those years on the road, living out of a backpack. He felt, at times desperate for some sort of structure, stability, home. But he would come off the road, and it was never long before he got the itch to leave again. And it's ironic that for all of his ability to connect, he just let so few people in on those struggles. And And I get it because, I mean, he was smart, y'all, and sometimes he couldn't make sense of it, and if he couldn't, then how could we? But the last few years of his life were spent exploring that tension, and while he made some really incredible transformations in terms of his life and career, learned to do new things, he kept collecting new friends and experiences all along the way, but that sustained sense of comfort that he sought just always seemed to be just out of reach. But amidst all of that searching and in the twilight of his young life, he revealed yet another gift, and that was his talent as a parent or a step-parent to Brooke's young kids. His tenderness and patience, and his ability to teach, and ability to tap into that innate playfulness and imagination and mischief. Watching those moments unfold, both live and in the pictures that I've looked at since, videos, it's just clear that those moments brought him so much joy, and he was just so in his element. I was exchanging texts with an old friend last week who said that he had always thought of Keeney as immortal. And he skated through life, a life of contact sports and hard living on the road and surfing dangerous waters and wandering solo through foreign countries. And we felt like his gifts might render him impervious to damage, And while he was not immortal in the physical sense, I do think that illuminates a different aspect of his legacy. It's not the long list of talents, shows, or places visited, all the many things he could do better than the rest of us without trying. But instead, it's that immortality of the impressions that he left on us, the gift of his focus, intention, love, and appreciation that he made each of us feel in his presence. And I hope I can channel some of that gift through me. Thank you, Keeney, for a friendship that will never die.
Thank you, Jonathan, for sharing that very intimate picture of Keeney. What I'm about to say is we're going to have a unique connection. You'll hear this in a few minutes. I first met Jonathan Keeney at the Preservation Pub. You may have heard of it. He was playing with Big Country's Empty Bottle, and he was introduced to me as a fellow mandolin player. I remember his smile, his intent focus, and his eyes, his beautiful eyes. He was such an integral part of the Knoxville music community that he seemed at times like an omnipotent ghost, being part of so many popular bands like Big Country's Empty Bottle and Guy Marshall, Ganasita, Joe Jack's Baseball, Thrift Store Cowboys, Burnin' Hermans, and others I'm sure I'm overlooking. It's one reason I consider myself so fortunate to have been his bandmate in the Black Lilies through some of our most memorable years. Keeney joined the band in a time when we were going through significant transition and evolution. I can't think of anyone better to have navigated that journey with. Jonathan is what I call the glue of a band. He listens, he responds, he's authentic and engaged and demands your respect, the same respect that he affords you. He made everyone around better. I remember Mike Seal and Keeney working out twin harmony parts just to make the arrangements hit harder. They went the extra mile together, and we all benefited. Some of my favorite memories were sound checks with Sam Quinn and Keeney, and the band would practice songs they worked up with titles such as Rostopus, a song that always made Keeney grin. In fact, we had an alter ego band called the Los Oranjas de la Discoteca. inspired by an infamous dancer known as Disco Spider. During that time period, we collaborated with players who are here today, Mike, Megan McCormick, Ethan Ballinger, and of course Sam Quinn, who unfortunately couldn't be here with us because of obligations he is filling today in international waters. Over the years, I had the good fortune to travel near and far with Jonathan. He truly was one of the most talented and inspirational musicians and artists I've encountered. Whether we were throwing baseballs in traffic jams across America, attempting Gregorian chant over red wine in Sweden, singing Silent Night in foreign languages, and I have a video of this, or perhaps he was creating a long list of covert catchphrases that were inside jokes to be delivered with those twinkling eyes. There was also the time in Spain we shaved all of our facial hair except our mustaches. We performed in a yurt adorned with reindeer hides. And maybe one of our greatest bonding moments, here's the connection. Driving across Europe, Keeney and I were the only ones in the band that could or would drive a manual. Mind you, this was a van with a steering wheel on the right side, and half of the time we were driving in the right lane, the other half we were in the left lane, depending on the country of the day. I owe Keeney for that one. The South Knoxville, Tennessee boy really came through on that one. My last two interactions with Jonathan were last fall. One, playing side by side, keyboard and pedal steel, at a Willie and Waylon tribute. And secondly, at a Jerry Coker Memorial concert at the University of Tennessee, where we both studied jazz. I'm grateful for that and the conversations we had. Something I think we can all agree on is that we're all better off for knowing Jonathan. I know he inspired me to be the better version of myself. He was almost like a parent sometime that didn't have to say anything but just gave you the look. The respect and kindness he embodied affected and inspired us all. He wore his heart on his sleeve. The love expressed through music and his friendships lingers and resonates here today. We're going to hear it, we're going to see it, we're going to feel it, and it will echo on down the line. Also, as I was writing this last night, I almost forgot. I have one bit of unfinished business with Keeney. He used to play an incredible version of Lightning Crashes by Live on the pedal steel during sound checks. It sounded so good. And I told myself I would learn the song and surprise him one day. During the pandemic, I finally learned the song. Unfortunately, I never had the opportunity to play it with him. But that's what I love about unfinished business. It just means that someday, somewhere, sometime, there'll be a moment to reconnect, probably in a way I can't fathom. So practice up, Keeney. I'm looking forward to our next jam. What's really beautiful to think about is what Keeney left with each one of us. He left me with a challenge and the encouragement to be kind, respectful, present, and tuned in to the good vibrations in this world and onward, and to never lose that adventuresome spirit. That impression and impact he made is palpable and present here today amongst us, and it will go on and on. So let's celebrate his life by making music, telling stories, and sharing the light that he left in this world. Our first tribute here is from Mike Seal. Hey, Mike. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm very honored to play here. Kenny was my friend for 20 years, and we traveled the world together and played hundreds of shows. And this song I'm about to play is one that I know he loved and that he played. And I'm kind of mad at him because as I was learning it and trying to memorize it, I realized he always picked really hard songs. So, but I think that he would have liked this one, so I'll play this piece. And Kenny's on it. Cruz is going to come back out and we're going to play a tune of well, Cruz, I'll let you introduce it.
Yeah. So, hello. Okay. Mike, you're awkwardly behind me here.
What's that?
You got a wireless there?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you got a wireless there?
Oh, no.
This is a song Mike suggested by way of Bill Frisell, and I believe it's a Neil Young tune originally. So I'll kind of sing. I think I'll sing. You just play. Yeah. Yeah.
One of these days, I'll sit down and write a long letter. All of the good friends I've known, and I'm gonna try to thank them all for the good times together. Though so apart, we've grown. And one of these days, I'm gonna sit down and write a long letter to all of the good friends I've known. One of these days, one of these days, one of these days, and it won't be long, no, it won't be long. And I'm gonna thank that old country fiddler and all of those rough boys that play that rock and roll. And I've never tried to burn any bridges, though I know I've let some good things go. One of these days, One of these days, one of these days, and it won't be long, no, it won't be long.
My name is Nolan Cornelius Nevels II. They call me No. No, if you really a homie, you like, yeah. I love you, brother. I know those are the last words I said to him. Keeney was a big brother to me. He didn't know it. I loved him, he loved me. The people that saw us out and around, whether it be in Seattle, LA, Knoxville, the pub, anywhere, he was a homie. Keeney knew me before I knew Keeney. I was just a little, cocky little kid that knew how to play drums and skip class during undergrad so I could get better at golf. Keeney was somebody that everyone he introduced me to, they had nothing but love for him. They told me great stories about the soccer accolades and just him being a pure athlete. So long story short, I love that about him. We played numerous rounds of golf together, and if anybody knows me in here, they know that anytime I'm talking, somehow, either way or another, it's going to get back to how many birdies you made, or what was your golf? Like golf over everything. I almost wore the shirt. It's either golf over everything or 0 putts given. And I never gave Kenny a putt. I mean, even to a memory where, rewind, back before 2012, there's a course called Avalon. I got a good brother here, Ian Fitzgerald, another good brother, Jake Myers, and myself and Keeney. We were the 4 horsemen. We were in the service industry, either getting our ABC card to sling drinks or working in the kitchen doing a grilled cheese. And if you didn't know how to do a grilled cheese, you didn't stand a chance. We were the 4 getting out there at like 7 or daylight trying to get in 18 holes, betting $1 a hole with the 4 of us and getting mad if, we didn't give a putt that was a little bit outside of the grip, if you know anything about golf. Kenny was a guy where I shared so many experiences with him like that, just bonding, fellowshipping on the golf course. And that was a big part of us growing and living. And like I said, Kenny knew me before I knew him because he could hear my Yamaha R6 YZF pulling up under the old music building, and I'd be 30 minutes late to music theory. That's why he got his piece of paper, and that's why, I'm just living the dream. And we skip ahead a little bit more to baseball, the band. Man, talk about brothers. We really don't know what we have until it's gone. Because as far as Kenny's concerned, He's got so many brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and dads and moms. Like Kenny is the definition of love, be it on a good day or a bad day. Back to baseball. Sorry, I didn't write any notes. He knows me. He'd be mad if I tried to write notes and script this out for him. Back to baseball. All right, we got like 8 dudes or plus, a couple horn players, 3 percussionists. You'll get to hear us in a little bit. But it's like the bond we got from a homegrown, just a bunch of dudes in a place we called the Red Room. And we were all just growing like tenfold, just we didn't recognize how much we were bonding through those years. And through these last couple weeks with, all the homies reaching out under the circumstances, it's like there's so many memories that were brought back. And, when I say so many, I mean so many. I wanted to make sure I stepped on baseball because baseball, the band, was what gave me, that's already, and I'm a preacher's kid. I'm a preacher's kid, but that's already 5 minutes. Hey Siri, set a timer for 5 minutes. I'm gonna take 5 more. And like Keeney's one of those dudes where, for me even talking to Siri, he would give me smack for talking to Siri, if you understand my lingo. But I try. So baseball, I didn't realize the years we were spending them bonding and creating music. And we're gonna play one of his tunes here in a few minutes. But Keeney was my big brother, man. Keeney was the one human that believed in me more than I believed in myself. Keeney had the opportunity to put my name in a pot to become part of a touring band. And without him, I don't think I would have the same exact life experiences that I've had to have since coming into contact with him. And like Kerr said, it's just like he has such intense blue eyes, and he will stare right through you and give you every bit of him on any situation. And when I say any situation, where I usually love those intense blue eyes, I have a wife. She has the prettiest blue eyes I've ever seen, but if there was a second, it would be Keeney. So, bear with me. I'm trying to make this quick. We're on the tour, we're on the road, we're in Denver. We've had, we're out there for a couple weeks. Keeney has some back trouble, all right? We always roomed together. We were homies. At the night, he's having back trouble. I was walking on his back. I was picking him up, trying to get his back right and everything. And, I was doing everything I could to, relieve him or whatever. Fast forward to the next morning. Keeney's not feeling better yet. And Keeney's that guy that he bought that oversized guitar case where you could fit an 88-piece keyboard in, and it's heavy as heavy, and he's struggling getting his gear, yet I still have my drum gear, and we're lugging along. At that time, I could not help him in my head. And with the pub family and people that have seen me and Keeney out since the touring years, you've probably heard this story. I did not help him lug his big old guitar, which you could probably put on your back and just walk around like a backpack. And he never let me hear the end of it. Never. If you met me 3 weeks ago, you would have heard about it. But we were still brothers. We have nothing but love for each other. I touched on baseball. I had a lot, but I don't write notes. The other thing I want to just touch on, he was a worker. He was so good at anything he touched. I just remember him pushing. I don't work out. I'm naturally gifted. I'm just a black man in America. But he actually got me running on a treadmill, doing push-ups, and feeling good and whatnot. And, it's just like if he started on the guitar, then moved to the mandolin, then moved to the steel, it's just like he was pure. He was a natural. Like, that's the purest pure. All right, big story I just wanted to share with everybody. Another buddy of ours, Jake Myers. We were on Avalon. This is probably around 2012-ish. Jake Myers hit a hole in one. This is on hole 16. Let I mind you, me and Kenny have been riding in the same cart for all the other 15 holes, and he was the driver of the cart. So we get done with hole 15, and, you know, I had my putter and wedge in hand, so I'm just walking to the next tee box, and Kenny's like, where's the cart? Where'd you leave it? It's back on the other green. So while Kenny's walking back to drive the cart back that he's been driving all day, I remind you, Jake Myers hits a hole in one. I get to see it. Keeney didn't get to see it. Another one. I've never heard the end of that story. So I just say that to share some happy moments. It's like, I love that dude. And, you know, we shared so much. And, yeah, it's life. When we got to do it, and, you know, love's the only thing that's going to get us through it. And I don't want to hold y'all anymore. I hope I didn't forget anything that I made a mental note about. David, thank you for even reaching out to me and asking me. I love that dude. I shared a lunch with Nathan in L.A., I believe, when we were touring. And oh, that's my other 5 minutes. So as the bookend, I got a Uncle Larry. He's out in L.A. in Redondo Beach. Ain't nothing but sunshine and babes and beaches, you know, that kind of uncle, where we go on the pier and we get churros. Me and Keeney spent a week and a half chilling in Uncle Larry's 3-bedroom apartment, hitting up the VFW, the Eagles, or he's a veteran as well. Or, you know, we went through all his day drinking spots. And, you know, it was hard the other week. My wife and kid were sitting on the couch next to me, and they were talking about Uncle Larry. They're like, let's go see Uncle Larry, let's go see Uncle Larry. And it's like, Keeney's one of those dudes, it's going to take a lot of time to go through every level of closeness and impact and strength and wisdom and every effect he had on all these people's lives in this room. So as a bookend, there ain't nothing but love for him, and he knows that. And, you know, I love him. That's the first brother. I've had to be up here, and yeah, let's I'm done. Yeah. Thank you. I love you, brother.
Want to share around a couple or use each?
Hey everybody, my name is Amanda Fields. This is Megan McCormick and Ethan Ballinger. We're from Nashville, and had the good fortune of being able to play music with Jonathan. And every time I ever played music with him, it was a spiritual experience for me. A couple of times we had perfectly sunny days and rainbows twice.
Literally.
We got to record this song we're going to play for you with him. It's called Dying Leaves. And, at face value, it sort of just sounds like a lost love song, but it's really about impermanence and how that makes our experiences together so special.
I'd like to thank Keeney's family and Cruz for asking us to come and be here today. And I think it was about 10 years ago that I met Keeney through Black Lily's transition time, and I got to come out on the road and just hadn't met him before in my life, and we had these long, extended, like playing a full, just all these fills that like landed together, and I was like, whoa. And I have that with Ethan, this shared brain type of experience with music where you kind of finish each other's sentences like couples do, but it's in the musical form, you know. And like Amanda said, they had never met before, and we played out at Windy Hill Farm together, and it was nothing but a sunny day around sunset, and it was just huge rainbow. I'm like, what is going on? And this transcendent experience of wonderful delay and reverb trails forever with Keeney that are just this beautiful thing that really happened so naturally with him. But yeah, we recorded this with Keeney and shared a lot of good times, and yeah, it's just an honor to be here with all of you. And I just read a book. I just lost my aunt last week, lost Keeney, my grandmother, a lot of folks this year, but I was just reading a book on grief, and one of my favorite, very simple things was just that grief dares us to love again, you know? And grief and gratitude kind of being sisters, you know? So I want to really, really just express my gratitude for all the time spent with Keeney, and therefore at this moment with all of you. Thank you so much. The trees are aflame as October goes, hickory yellow, maple red and gold. Smoke drifts off a mountain breeze, but there's beauty in the dying leaves. Love burns bright and then it's gone, a burst of color that won't last long. All good things must end, it seems, but there's beauty in the dying leaves. The last time I saw you, the air had turned crisp. There was a sudden coldness in your kiss, and I wouldn't trade that memory for the beauty in the dying. Love burns bright and then it's gone, a burst of color that won't last long. All good things must end, it seems, but there's beauty in the dying. All good things must end, it seems. Should we do Wild as a Flower? Count it off. 1, 2, 3. Wild as a flower, born to die young, here for a reason, here for a season, to born in the sun. The day that I met you, I was changed for the better, and tougher than leather. He was my kind of weather, some kind of blue.
he won't be back anymore. At least not in that form, not in our time. The stars in the sky, with the moon rolling by, saw the whole universe in your eyes. Wild as a flower, born to die young. Here for a reason, here for a season, reborn in the sun. In a fever, you came down from the ether and spoke the words I'm just saying. How I miss my mother, being sister to my brother. Of course I see you in most everything. Wild as a flower, born to die young. Here for a reason, here for a season, reborn in the sun. Here for a reason, here for a season, reborn in the sun. Love you, Keeney.
Thanks, Kenny.
Oh, Keen Dog. Wow. My name is Lee Darden, and Jonathan was a great friend of mine for many, many years. We'll get to that. This speech is packed full of thoughts and emotions, of course, so please bear with me here. First, I'm very saddened to have to give this speech, but I'm very honored to be asked by David Keeney to give this speech to honor Jonathan. And lastly, I'm very thankful to see everybody here to show their respects to Jonathan and his family. And they need our support right now so much during this time of loss and healing. So I'll give some history now. I started getting close to Keeney my senior year of high school, and we won the talent show, together that senior year with Josh Manus and a friend of ours, Eric White, and that was kind of cool. And that was my first taste of seeing the many talents that Jonathan Keeney possessed. And then our college years, we kind of just, like young kids do, we went our separate ways. He was back he's in California and really busy and successful with his band Ghana Sita. And then in our mid-20s, something special happened there. Our close friend group from high school just kind of settled. Everybody got back to Knoxville. We reconnected, and we just formed this really, really tight bond that lasts to this day. And what can I say about those times? We had the time of our lives. I'm just going to quickly say some things here. Concerts downtown, supporting each other's music, going to shows, playing hockey video games. Oh, yes. Watching Philadelphia Flyers hockey. That's a big one. That's one of my personal favorites. Keeney taught me how to skate and play hockey. That was special as well. I got the pleasure of living with him for a year, and we got very, very close during that time. And also during that time, he got me back into playing music. So it was a very, very creative time as well. I've got a quick random story about when we lived together. It's there was a bad snowstorm that year, and we lived across from the Shriner Temple off the Chapman Highway, up that big hill behind the JFG sign. If anybody knows where I'm talking about, it was a very steep hill, impassable. So we were watching a Flyers game or something one night, and just what does Keeney do? You know, just something natural that Keeney tends to do. He straps on a snowboard and goes and just shoots down this hill and shreds it. You know, not a hand ever touched the ground. You know, his butt never touched the ground. Just like a professional snowboarder. And, you know, he hits this 90-degree turn. You know, just stuff like that. You know, it sticks out. It's a great, great memory to me. Just talented at anything that he tries, pretty much. So ultimately, Jonathan and I were close friends from about age 25 to 35. You know, that point where, like, you know, a boy becomes a man, you know, a very, very pivotal point in a person's life. And in the latter portion of those years, something magical happened. And we started seeing each other about every day or every other day. And he would come over, and we just got so close. And, you know, he was my best friend for that portion there. He was my confidant. We leaned on each other, and and I reflect back to that time now, and, you know, I realized that we kind of needed each other. And, you know, but it didn't always have to be so deep. You know, we would just get together and talk about our daily lives, you know, work, relationships, music, and hockey. Those two are going to keep on coming up here. And really, when I think about Keeney, I just think about laughing. We laughed. We just laughed all the time, and I suppose I got off on, you know, making him laugh because it was just so, he had a very, very infectious laugh. Okay, so what was Keeney to me? He was like a brother. He was one of the smartest people that I've ever met. We're talking about music, history, philosophy, science, and anything in general. He was one of the most talented people that I've ever met, and we all know about that. Music, sports. He was a great athlete. That's, you know. But I think deeper than that, I think that anything that Jonathan Keeney put his mind to, he would accomplish, because his level of determination and focus was unparalleled, in my opinion. He was a great listener and a great conversationalist. I will definitely miss all of our conversations. He was also a kind and gentle person. He had a great sense of humor. And I'm going to close with just a few more things here. This isn't going to be a direct quote, but when I met with my friends for the first time at Urban Bar, once we heard this sad news, we met at Urban Bar and to console each other and to share stories and do exactly what we're doing now, you know. And Jenny Kerr said to me, that was the thing that stuck out to me the most that night. She said that what she is going to try to take away from this tragedy is that she feels just so lucky to have ever met Keeney, you know, somebody so special and so talented and so charismatic. I could sit here for a while and say everything that Keeney was to me, but I don't have enough time. But following up what she said, you know, that's what I urge us all to do during this time of healing, and I suppose for the rest of our lives, is to just cherish those memories and just hold on to them so tightly. So, I'm a Christian. That's how I was raised, and I consider myself a Christian still to this day. I sincerely pray that one day I will be reunited with my friend Keeney. And I've got one last thing. It's a quote from a song that from one of his many bands that he played in. And they go by the name of Guy Marshall. And the song is called Cigarette Smoke. And everybody, you know, must go away in the end. But everybody, they leave their trails in the wind. Thank you for this time. I love you, Keen Dog.
So this is something that I was inspired by Keeney. He had posted many years ago a video of himself playing a pedal steel with a talk box. And that's where you use your voice to modulate the sound of the guitar. And not many people do it. I mean, I had seen Drake do that in like the 60s. But anyway, I saw this video and it was fantastic. And so this is inspired by that. It's not quite the same thing, but I'm going to try it. And you've heard part of this. This is the thing I'm working on, and I put it together yesterday, and it's not done yet, but I'm going to just play what I have so far.
Hey everybody, I've known Jonathan Keeney for a long time, and he's one of my best friends. This is a song he wrote that we used to play. It's been almost 13 or 14 years since I've played with these people on the stage, and Mr. Keeney, I loved your song, we all did, and this is for you, buddy.
This next song is a song that we learned together, and it makes me think of him a lot. He was a big Bill Frisell fan, and it's a beautiful melody, and yeah. He was a beautiful person.
Of all the awesome bands Keeney played with, Baseball the Band, I think, was my favorite to watch him play with. Those are good times. My name is Josh Manus, and I am beyond lucky to have been blessed with Jonathan Keeney's friendship for 30 years. Lee talked about the laughs earlier. So many laughs, countless laughs. It was a fun sound to hear. We experienced so many fun times, some tough times, and one of us experienced a substantial amount of hair loss. Everyone here knows this already, but Keeney was such a special person. As Jonathan Kerr perfectly put it earlier, Keeney possessed a mystique. When people met him for the first time, they couldn't help but to think, God, this guy's just cool. He just was. And his talents were immeasurable. And he's probably extremely irritated at all of us for talking so much about that. But being so good at so many things led to him having lots of different pockets of friends and just influence in general through the years. In early middle school, before we were super tight, he played hockey with my brother Brandon. And I remember some times at their hockey tournaments and games and stuff where I just kind of felt like a little bit of an outsider. And Keeney would always go out of his way to include me with his friends that I didn't know. Just always made me a part of stuff. And that taught me a lot about what friendship is supposed to look like at an early age. Soon after that, we learned how to play guitar together, thanks to the abrasively loud and overtly formulaic teachings of Metallica. And we came out of that with decent musical tastes. I still like some of that, but music continued to bond us through the years. And no matter where his musical journey took him and where he was at, he would always check in on me and mine, just to make sure I was doing all right. And so many memories come to mind, like they do for all of us here. Playing pool and watching Slackers at Johnny Bue's house, laying out in the sun on the roof of South Doyle during chemistry class, and riding in his old BMW listening to Silverchair. But one of my favorites, though, involved our senior trip to Hilton Head when Keeney, Drew Johnson, and myself all decided to wear Speedos the entire week. And we were the only ones who got the memo, I guess. Nobody else on the beach had any on. But Keeney's Speedo was actually, it was a zebra print women's tennis bloomer kind of thing. He didn't have any until we got down there, but they popped. They were good. The second to last day, some of us were throwing football on the beach, and he and I were both jumping up to catch a pass, and I somehow kicked his leg or something. And when I came down, I had a pretty broken toe. It was a little right angle action, but it was difficult to put weight on it. So Kerr and Keeney both kind of alternated giving me piggyback rides. So when Keeney was giving me a piggyback ride up to the condo, you remember the outfits we were wearing, but he stepped my toe for me, and it was not very fun, but he stepped my toe and we taped it to the next toe and went on back out to the beach. But I kind of alluded to this earlier, but seeing Jonathan meet someone new for the first time was captivating. Watching him interact with people in general was just a masterclass of attentiveness. That eye contact that we've all talked about, the eyes, they're so genuine, and he listened. He really, really listened to you. He made people feel special, whether he knew them for 30 years or 3 minutes. And that's because he was special. He was able to do that. A few years back, I started dating my last girlfriend, Molly, and she was tasked with meeting a lot of my good friends at one of those Flyers watch parties that Lee was talking about earlier. So she was going into that, not knowing anybody, and I was like, yeah, it'll be fine, you'll have fun. And she did, it was good, everybody liked her. But Keeney sat down beside her, and she told me this, after that day, and then again last week, that she felt comfortable because of him. He sat beside her, he talked to her, he asked her questions, and he just made her feel comfortable. And I don't know, I've always really appreciated that, and I know that she did too. It's just, a special one-of-a-kind gift that he had. Made her feel part of the group, like he did to me when we were kids. He'd always include me and, try to just make sure I was all right. But I've never been the best at checking in on people. I don't know, I try to, I fail at it a lot. But Keeney would check in on me. He'd call me just randomly, every couple of months. A couple of months might go by, but he would undoubtedly call and say, "Hey, buddy." And then he would swerve around any questions I asked about him because he didn't want to talk about himself. But he was calling to check in on me. He didn't want to share what he was doing. But I strive to be as good of a friend and as thoughtful of a person as he was. Thank you for teaching me so much, and thank you for loving all of us so much. We love you, Keen Dog. See you, buddy.
David, thanks for giving me the honor and trusting me with helping arrange and filter through all these talented musicians, friends of Keeney's. We have a couple more songs for you, and this guy on the guitar behind me, his name's Jake Smith, and Jake and Keeney would play Monday nights at the Pilot Light experimental music night, kind of the avant-garde side of music. And that's something that Jonathan was in, pushing those boundaries. And so, Jake, thanks for joining us on this song. And then the next song, all musicians, not musicians, if anybody wants to come up here and jam and sing on the last tune, that'll be next.
Get over here.
Oh, this is fine right here, yeah.
I've been listening to the rhythm of my own drum back since day one, trying to keep time like everyone. I've got my own way of looking at the world. It ain't a big deal. Everyone wonders how they should feel. Was told there ain't no use in fitting in. Now I believe them. Playing a game not meant to win. Looking at the mountains, I see hills to climb. Let's take our time. Just beyond the clouds there is sunlight. Let's take that ride. Traveling the road that has no end. I guess I've never been one for the easy way. I could not stay. Know that I loved you then like I love you today. I've been searching for the answers since I was young. That can be undone. The only way to learn was to be burned. Looking at the mountains, I see hills to climb. Let's take our time. Just beyond the clouds there is sunlight. Let's take that ride. Traveling the road that has no end. La da da dee la da dee da, La da da dee da da. La da da dee la da dee da. La da da dee da da. Someday you'll look back and wonder, who did you serve? Did they deserve? Then you'll look back and you'll realize every step led to where you were. Looking at the mountains, I see hills to climb. Let's take our time. Just beyond the clouds there is sunlight. Let's take that ride. Traveling the road that has no end. Traveling the road that has no end. Traveling the road that has no end.
Anybody that would like to join on this last one?
Some things together, with trunks and memories still to come. We found things to do in stormy weather. Long may you run. Long may you run. Long may you run. Although these changes have come, we for Keeney, y'all.
So we offer just a few closing words to gather up things. I just want to let you know, in case you're wondering, this is not a typical Episcopal service, but we dig it. And we had a renovation last year. We got rid of the carpet, so this is good, right? So I'm thinking a listening room. You'll call me later. But hearing all these words and seeing all of you here and what little I knew of Jonathan, I got to know him as his mother was dying, and I buried her. I'm reminded, and my congregation would tell you, that I say the same things a lot of times at funerals. And one of those are some things I learned years ago somewhere, but I'm quoting myself now. And they said, when someone's dying or near death, there are some things we need to say, some basic things we need to say. And truly, when a friend of ours dies, I'm reminded that we need to say those things before we get to that time. And like I say, what little I knew of Jonathan, even still, I know I ask myself, hey, could I have given him a call? When I thought about him, could I have said something? And we'll probably all live with that sort of self-doubt. But I hope we'll say these things to each other. There are 4 things, basically, we need to remember to say to each other often. We need to say thank you. We need to say, I'm sorry, I forgive you, and I love you. Thank you, I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you. So for Jonathan, for Keeney, let's say those things to each other and keep making the music and keep sharing the music and sharing those joys and laughter. And so I'm going to offer the oldest song and a blessing to send us on our way. So this is an ancient commendation we use at burial. Give rest, O Christ, to your servant with your saints, where sorrow and pain are no more, neither sighing but life everlasting. You only are immortal, the creator and maker of mankind, and we are mortal, formed of the earth, and to earth shall we return. For so did you ordain when you created me, saying, you are dust, and to dust you shall return. All of us go down to the dust, yet even at the grave we make our song, Alleluia, Alleluia, Alleluia. Give rest, O Christ, to your servant with your saints, where sorrow and pain are no more, neither sighing, but life everlasting. And a blessing for you all. Life is short, and we have too little time to gladden the hearts of those who travel the way with us. So be swift to love and make haste to be kind. May the blessing of God, the God who knows you, the God who loves you, the God who is with you, be with you this day and evermore. Amen. Go in peace, my friends.
Thank you, guys. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
I know, it's okay. Oh, yeah. I am, yeah, totally. Yeah, totally, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, and I'm playing with AP too. Because I think I met Chris Hughes. Yeah. It's good stuff for sure. I've gotten in a good double church community between the two. Thanks for talking to me. Thanks for talking to me too. It's like, well, it's just one of those things where I'm just like I was like, Jesus Christ, if I was rolled up in here and I wasn't, so I would have been like, what the hell am I doing? Like, my God. Like, it was weird. It was weird too. It's like all day yesterday, I was like on my house and like it was so quiet, and I kept feeling like somebody was over my shoulder, and it like kept happening, and it was like whispering. Yeah. Well, he talked to us through Matt Nelson's amplifier the other day. Yeah. I mean, we were at the pub and it's picking up. Yeah. It's called No, it's original. It's on the record Blues Dream and also on another one of his albums. I can't remember. Surfer Girl? I don't think so. Surfer Girl. I love that. Love her. Oh, he's. I'm sure. I mean, he never does it. You know. He is a huge inspiration to me. And Keeney, truly a huge inspiration to both of us. And God. Thanks so much. I really like that. Honestly, for me to sit in with baseball was in his honor was one of the greatest honors of my life. I want to say. And it was Chuck was play the song with us. It was those are some big fucking shoes to fill. And there's unfillable, truly. But I think he would have approved. We really were like brothers, and we really I think that I looked up to him more than I think he looked up to me. But we both he was a mentor to me, and we became peers. But he was always a mentor to me, and really Keeney. It's he had me so many gigs when I was first starting out and stuff. Literally, he's like 7 years old. But we connected because we're some from the same neighborhood. We just, so he really helped me out. There's no other way, Hey, thanks, I appreciate that.